Hey guys, what is going on? And welcome back to another episode of that Wolfie Royals podcast. We are back properly in the swing of things. I know I took a bit of time out, but here we are now. We are back doing regular streams or regular podcasts. So hopefully everyone's still tuning in and listening, and hopefully you're still enjoying it as well. I'm still enjoying doing these. So, thanks very much for listening, and thanks for all the feedback and support and things as always. Got a really good guest lined up for you tonight. Uh, One of the guys, I think actually the first Canadian on, and really good guy, really nice guy, fantastic breeder, some insane projects, and some insane animals in the collection as well. But before we get into that, let's just quickly jump into some adverts from our sponsors. So let's quickly put these on. We'll run through those, and then we'll get into it, shall we?
Hi guys, it's Jordan here from Cyclones Ball Pythons, and we are sponsoring this podcast, that Wolfie Royals podcast to be exact, for a number of reasons. Tom is a great guy. He's helped me and my dad a lot since coming into the industry, but also the hot topics that he talks about with a number of different people, not just breeders, talking about how we can improve the industry, what's wrong with it, and where the industry seems to be going. So please do give him a follow on all social media platforms. Enjoy the content, and if you do get the chance, please do follow Cyclones Ball Pythons on Instagram. Cheers, guys. Enjoy the podcast.
There we go. That was Jordan of Cyclones. Obviously, they're making waves in the ball python scene at the moment. Probably amassing one of the, or if not the best new collection on the planet at the moment. So do check them out. Go and hit them up on Instagram. Follow what they're doing. See some of the pictures of the amazing animals that they're picking up. And I'm sure it won't stop there. So yeah, go and check those guys out. And then on to another sponsor. So I'm going to quickly run through this one for you as well.
JVK Reptiles and Racks is proud sponsor of That Wolfie's Royal podcast show. Here at JVK we sell professional stainless steel hand-welded racks for ball pythons, leopard geckos, burms, boas and retics. We have recently introduced acrylic displays and are soon to come out with our own green tree python enclosures. We are also breeders of high-end designer morphs concentrating on recessive and codom genes such as clown, desert ghost, tornado, sunset and tri-stripe, and many other codoms to suit. If you'd like to get hold of us, we have a website, jvkreptilesandracks.co.uk. We are on most social media platforms such as Instagram and Facebook. And we also have a page on Wolf Market.
There we go. That was JVK, obviously a sponsor from last year as well. Jay's fantastic, makes some of the best racks and display cases in the UK. And of course, he can export worldwide as well. So if you are looking to upgrade your racking, or you're looking for new display cases and stuff, do check it out. The raffle is still running as well for the custom JVK display case. There's still plenty of tickets left. It is £20 a ticket, 100 tickets limited. So you've got a good chance of winning if you want to spend some money. They retail at £2,000. You can win one for just £20. So yeah, they're fantastic. You get the lights, you get all the display cases, the heat mats, the stats, everything in there as well. The travel box, so you can take your animals to and from the show on heat, the battery pack, etc. And you can, if you go to a show where there isn't easily accessible electric points, you can run that all off the battery, which you just charge at home. So they are really well thought out, really great bits of kit. I really do recommend them. And if you do want to enter the raffle to win one, drop me a message and I'll send you the details over. Just a couple more sponsors to run through. And next up is one of the OGs of the reptile game in the UK.
Hi there, this is Scott from Scott Wilkinson Reptiles. I'm pleased to support that Wolfie Royals podcast. It's absolutely fantastic to have a UK-based podcast, and Tom's slowly starting to get the hang of this. So for those that don't know me, I've been breeding reptiles now for over 35 years and have focused on breeding ball python morphs for the last 20 years. I'm also working with probably the largest collection of Australian blue-tongued skinks in Europe, including albinos and melanistics. I also have been importing and exporting reptiles for over 25 years now and currently offer that service for other breeders and collectors, and can ship your animals in and out of Europe, USA and Canada. Best place to find me is on Instagram or YouTube, or if you're really unlucky, you'll see me half naked at a reptile show somewhere around the world. Message me via Instagram for any further details, and enjoy this amazing podcast. Take care.
There we go. That was Scott. And obviously there you see the SWR shipping banner behind me just there. Obviously, Scott and I are teaming up to bring you the hottest animals from UK, Europe, Canada, and we can also export animals as well. So if you are looking at doing overseas sales, hit us up and we can connect you with the buyers as well. So if you are looking for anything to bring in or to ship out to potential buyers, drop us a message and I'm sure we can help you out. And we have a couple more sponsors to run through and then we will get into the podcast. So here we go. We are back in with Prague Morphs as well. Now, Devon and Teresa have got another fantastic collection, some of the best, puzzle stuff, DG Clown stuff, etc. going. So make sure you head on over to Instagram, check out their account, Prague Morphs. You won't be disappointed. They produce some absolutely incredible animals, making waves for a couple of years now. So they're going to do great things. They are doing great things, and I'm sure it will continue into the future as well. And of course, last but not least, we have Clutch. Now, if you're not using Clutch, you are severely missing out. It's a fantastic platform for recording all of your breeding data. It's the #1 ball python platform for record management, etc. So obviously you've got everything on there. You can track all your follicle sizes. So if you're ultrasounding, whatever, you can update it on there and see the progress. You can do all your breeding plans. You can make a list of animals available as well for other Clutch users. And you can create wait lists, etc., things like that as well. And of course, the shed testing is all done through Clutch and RGI as well. So if you do have shed tests that you want to unlock the potential of your pairings and of your collection, then head on over there. Fantastic competitive rates on there as well. So I'm sure you won't be disappointed with that either. It's a really great bit of kit. There is, of course, a new tier that is released as well. So if you didn't want to go straight in at the top level premium tier, there is now a middle ground. So I think it's $9 a month. So what's that, about £6? And you can get access to some of the many features that Clutch has to offer as well. So yeah, head on over to www.clutch.io and check it all out. And there we go. So I'm going to get our guest in and we'll get into the podcast. Let me try and there we go. Right, we are on. So as you can see, we are joined by Will from Royal Canadian Reptiles. Thanks for coming on, Will.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
No, it's been a long time coming. We've probably been speaking about it for at least 18 months, 2 years now, and finally pulled the trigger. I thought I could understand the accent from you a little bit more now. So
likewise, yeah.
It's one of those. What's that all about? I still couldn't get my head around it.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's I'm looking forward to this one. I think it's going to be a good one. So let's just dive into. Let's get into where it all started for you. Obviously, you're full time with the snakes now. It's been a few years. It's going full time. So just give us a little bit of a background and a bit of a summary as to how you got started and to where you ended up now.
So obviously the passion with reptiles started off as a kid. I'm sure most people similar situation. My dad being a veterinarian, that really helped out. So animals in the house were never an issue. That was like, oh, I want to get this, I want to get that, let's do it, and so that there was none of that, like no, being told no as a kid, like you can't have a snake, can't have a lizard, can't have that. So that was really cool. Always had reptiles as a kid. And then kind of got out of it probably at 13, 14, something like that. Went off to high school, university, and then in university while I was in university, there was a pet store that I used to walk by every day, and they had ringtail lemurs in the shop. And I was like, I used to go in because there was friggin' lemurs, man. It was cool. So I was like, I wanted to go see the lemurs, and I would just stop in on the way to school and see it. And I got to know the guy because he'd see me every couple days, and they had a ball python there. Ended up swinging a trade. I helped clean some fish tanks and stuff, and he gave me this old ball python, and it was an old female. And I don't know how old it was, to be honest. When I got her, she was probably 1,300 grams. And so I got home, and I was the classic, like I put a ball python in a 40-gallon fish tank with a screen lid and a heat lamp, and like just the classic, like don't do that, And anyway, so I got home and Googled ball python, and the first website that came up in Canada was ballpython.ca, and that was Mark Mandic.
Yeah.
And so I clicked on that website and was sort of like instantly like, why doesn't my ball python look like those? Like I want those ones. And that has never gone away. you know, that I want mine to look like that. I still see stuff and I'm like, I want that, you know? So that's sort of how it all started. And really it just went from there. I picked up on a couple animals from Mark. Mark was a great help. Bred some animals in college, got our first clutch, hatched out some caramel pinstripes. So that was
What a
way
team to
back.
get into, yeah.
Yeah, that was way back when. Well, at the time, it was pretty good one to have. So, anyways, did pretty well with that. And I went home one day and told Dad what I was doing. And he's kind of like, what the fuck are you talking about? And I was like, no, like check all this stuff out. And I started showing everything. And he was kind of like, well, you bred these already? I was like, yeah. Like me and a buddy at school had gotten some, and we managed to breed some. We made a super Mojave, a cut caramel pin, like all the like. Well, at the time, those were like still pretty good, you know. That was 2008 or 2009, something like that. And anyways, Dad kind of saw it and was like, "Well, why don't like we do this?" And I was like, "Dude, yeah, hell yeah." He's like, "Well, what would you buy?" And I started to like show him like who Ralph Davis was, who the Bells were, like all that stuff, Bush League Breeders Club and King Snake and all this sort of stuff. And honestly, it just went from there. Like it just little by little the collection got bigger and we got better and better stuff. And we had to like grow into it. We couldn't, you know, we didn't have the budget to go out and say like, I'm buying up the whole market and I want all this shit. So we just sort of bought what we could get and stuff that we've really liked working with. Started off a lot with some super phantoms from Ralph Davis. Those were like, I love those. Pastel Desert Ghost right out of the gate was one that like really drew me in. The clown stuff, obviously that was cool. Although at the time wasn't a big focus, maybe because I didn't see the potential in it. Maybe we had clowns, but it was sort of stopped at like super pastel butter clown. We kind of were like, okay, these kind of all look the same. And
Guessing
then
back then, Pied was probably still the most popular, right?
Pied was a big one. And then obviously it was the incomplete dominant stuff. So like we would watch like bananas at 65,000 and then GHIs. And I remember, what was it? I was just looking at a list of like a list that somebody sent me way back in maybe 2009. It was like pastel super stripe was like 17.5. And I was like, holy, yeah, dodge that bullet. Yeah. But yeah, it just kind of went from there. And the fun part of like combining new stuff and making new projects, and you know, it's become a lifestyle rather than a hobby. It's like it's what I do now, and it's just eat, breathe, ball python. You know, it's kind of eat, and it's always been reptiles. I've always loved reptiles, but ball pythons took the steering wheel for a solid 15 years. Yeah.
How easy was it to make that change from doing it as like a hobby and something you enjoy to going full time with it and making it a career?
It was pretty clear cut, to be honest. It was a pretty like, what am I doing at work type of situation. For the first 10 years, almost made nothing. Like nothing.
Yep.
Like it was like, but it shouldn't say we didn't make anything because we would make stuff and then sell it, and then with that just go roll it right back into another ball python or another new genetic or you know, freedom breeder racks or at the time ARS racks, and it would just kind of rolled profit that we'd take from the ball pythons and roll it back into the business, and it just kind of grew and grew and grew and grew and grew, and it got to a point where I think I went full time in 2020 was when I went full time, right at COVID. Obviously, was everybody was like, the market went crazy, and there was a few months there where it became really difficult to sit at work and have anybody tell you anything. You know, you're like, you're not paying me anywhere near enough to tell me what to do right now. So yeah, that's sort of how it all started, and looking back was fantastic. It was a fantastic choice, and I don't see a situation where I'm not doing it ever.
Was there years prior to that where the snakes was paying more than the day job, where you was like, what the hell am I doing this for?
Yeah, it always kind of like competed or did a little bit better than the day job, but at the time, like, it wasn't that much work, right? I didn't do like 100 clutches or 80 or 50 clutches even. I'd do 25 clutches, And out of those 25 clutches, I could easily compete with my day job. And it was sort of like double dipping for quite a while there. And it just became one of those situations where it didn't really make sense. I figured, hey, I'm putting, what was it at the time? I think I was putting 8 or 9 hours, maybe 10 hours a week into the ball pythons, mostly on weekends, feeding the rats, cleaning the rats, feeding stuff, pairing stuff, checking pairings. And really, I kind of looked at it and was like, what if I put 40 hours a week into this? What if I put 50 or 60 hours a week? I'm only putting 10 and I'm competing with this job that I put 40 into. What if I take my time and put it fully into the ball pythons and grow this and scale this and, really see where this can go? And so far, so good. Obviously, the last couple of years, bit more rocky, but still way outpaces what I was at work.
And how difficult was that in Canada? Because of your market's probably still mainly exporting to the US, right?
My entire market is international. Yeah. I don't do much.
It's not like
don't really do much Canadian sales.
Canada and stuff.
Yeah, I don't really sell a whole lot in Canada, honestly. Not to say I wouldn't. It's not really my thing. I don't really advertise to the Canadian market. I don't do much in the Canadian market. People who reach out in Canada, no problem, but I don't really vend the shows. I don't want to say I don't participate in the market, but I guess that's the word. I participate in the international market significantly more than I do in the local markets.
Yeah, I mean, that makes sense. I mean, from most of the people that I've spoken to before about sort of Canada and their market, it's still relatively small.
I would say quite small. Yeah, it's great people. There's nothing against people. It's just the nature of Canada. Like if you compare us to the States is like 10 times the population, but I would hazard to guess that individual states are 10 times the market. Like the market in Texas alone, I bet you it'd be 10 times the Canadian market. And so when you compare us to the States is 10 times the population, but probably 1,000 times our market. It's a completely different thing. And I guess I recognized that early, and started handling all my own shipping and getting the export permits and doing imports and exports and really figuring out how that process works with the help from people, obviously Mark and Corey Woods and those guys who I've known now for 18 years or something. So yeah, it's those guys helped me out a ton, but figuring out that export situation, and now we export internationally pretty much anywhere in the world. Japan, Korea, Europe, you guys know Europe, the US. I've never sent one to Mexico. Never,
Texas, right?
Well, yeah, I don't know. I sent them to the States, wherever they ended up from there. I don't know. We had a box go to Indonesia, which was that was cool. I was like, Indo. I was like, wow, that's a different one.
Some of the species they've got, you're wondering why they're bothering.
I was like, what are you doing with my stuff? Yeah, you guys just go pull a GTP off a branch, like. But yeah, no, I don't know. It's crazy. It's the ball python thing has really, really gone. It may have always been an international kind of phenomenon, but early on I didn't recognize that. I only looked at it as like kind of a North American, European-ish thing. And over the last 7 or 8 years, my scope has really opened up to, oh, hang on a second. People keep ball pythons in Singapore, and people keep ball pythons in, Guam, and like all over the world. And
how much of that things down to like social media and YouTube and things like that?
I think quite a bit. Does. Social media is probably one of it's like the best and worst thing that's ever happened, right? It's some things about social media I can't stand, and then there's other things that are like absolutely fantastic about it, because without social media, you're in the UK. What are the odds that we would have met otherwise outside of like on a forum or something? You probably be the guy talking shit to me on a forum,
We'll still do that now if you want.
Yeah, exactly. But yeah, it's really, social media has opened this market up like tenfold. So at least it's opened up the relationships with people internationally. And now I would say that, 8 out of my 10 top good friends are international, like couple in Canada, but majority are overseas or in the US, which is really cool. It gives me a reason to travel.
Yeah, absolutely. Not like we need one of those.
Right. Yeah. Yeah.
So when you sort of decided to go full time during COVID and stuff, how did you ramp the collection up? So obviously if you're putting in 10 hours and keeping it relatively small and then going into 40, 50, 60 hours, you're going to need to ramp up numbers and increase production quite significantly.
Yeah. So I've always had a bit of a holdback problem, people.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that's always been something that I've always looked at and said, like, I can't go out and get these animals anywhere else. I need to keep them. And this is something I want to pursue. And I always produce my own rodents. Being out in the country has been really beneficial because we could put up a building relatively inexpensively. Not, it's not a 6,000 square foot shop by any stretch, but we put up a building, we built it, having a rat building where you can put the shavings out behind the barn in a big pile. You don't have to, so I could scale things relatively easily. And yeah, honestly, I kind of went into, we had built a new building. I want to say 2018. We moved from a 12 by 16 room into a 24 by 32 building. So significantly more space. And I managed to fill that up pretty quickly. It was pretty amazing how fast that filled up. Within like 2 or 3 years, I had a 2 or 3 year span where I was making a lot of really interesting hats and combo double hats and some triple hat stuff. And I just sort of was like, dude, I recognized how the odds worked. I mean, just like anybody else, I guess maybe more so than other people did. I don't know. But I recognized that numbers definitely turn odds in your favor. If you have one clutch of double hats, you're shooting for double visual, like DG Clown. Like if you go double hat to double hat, and I have one clutch of that, well, 1 in 16 shot. It's always a 1 in 16. But if I can put down 47 eggs for it, I get a much higher chance to. That's just that many more.
Don't mention DG Clowns. I think I had 4 clutches in 1 year.
None.
Double hit, and I hit none.
None. Yeah, dude. It's
clutch, right? I had 6 eggs, and I hit 3 DGs and 3 clowns. No normals, no nothing else.
Yeah, dude.
That was going to save my life.
I did quad hets last year. This is my first time breeding quad hets, and everybody was like, "Dude, quad hets. You're gonna hit a triple. You're gonna at least hit something." Dude, I hit nothing that I had not made before. Now it was a fantastic clutch, but I think I had 9 eggs between 2 females, a 4 egg clutch and a 5 egg clutch, and I hit nothing but double visuals. So like it was all like clown pieds, DG clowns, axanthic pieds, DJ axanthics. Not complaining on any of those, but I wanted that DJ axanthic clown, DJ axanthic pied, maybe the quad. But yeah, man. We start to go further and further and further down this like quad het, triple het. Like you kind of need numbers.
Yeah.
Now with shed testing, things are making it a little bit easier, so you can start to leverage the odds. Like now I can breed double visual, double het to quad het. That drastically lowers the odds. But
even like quad het to quad het, your chances of the double visuals are what, 1 in 4?
On a double visuals, 1 in 4. Yeah.
Yeah. So I mean, you're drastically increasing your chances from double het to double het, which is what, 1 in 16.
Yeah. You just can't pick it.
Yeah.
Right? You just have to say like a double visual is 1 in 4. But if you say like in that quad het, I want a DG clown, that DG clown is still a 1 in 16. Yeah. Yeah.
But if you're making stuff which you're going, well, okay, this is going to be building blocks, and then like you mentioned there, shed testing
for sure,
like a DG clown that's het pied, het axanthic, whatever, then
yes,
yeah, you're still on a really good track.
Oh yeah, and I tested them all, and it ended up amazing clutch. I hit 4 females out of those 9 eggs, and out of 9 eggs, I ended up with a DG axanthic double het clown pied female, a clown pied double het DG clown, an axanthic pied double het, axanthic pied double het DG clown. Oh, the clown pies double het DG axanthic. I hit 4 double visual double het females, all different combos, which after shed testing, they kept coming in. The results would come in. I was like, holy shit. I go change the card. I'm like, that's crazy that I hit that one. And then the next result, like, what? I hit 2 and then 3 and then 4. And then a couple visuals. I had a visual DG that ended up being triple het. Really good odds, oddly enough, like crazy good odds, but no triple or quad. So maybe this year she's looking good again. The quad hets are looking good again this year. So
where do you stand on shed testing now? Because obviously when it first came out, you were kind of quite strongly against it, really.
I mean, I don't want to say I was I against it? Maybe I was just a little like, I think I was just expressing what could happen with it, like where the road that we potentially were going down. Because a lot of people for many, many years flocked to recessives as like, this is my like value hold in the market, right? The recessives tend to hold their value better. And with shed testing, as soon as it's mapped, it's no different than an incomplete dominant gene. It's just a super form, right?
It's
so like
a
super Enchi is like a clown. Same thing. It's two copies of Enchi, 2 copies of a clown. It's very, very simple. It's actually identical when it comes to odds. And so my big worry was we are going to speed things up like a lot. I had some pushback of people saying, no, it's not going to speed things up. You still have to hit the odds. I'm like, okay, but that quad het to quad het clutch 5 years ago, those were all 66 hats. And I wouldn't be sitting here thinking those 4 are double hats. And, now knowing they are, that completely changes what I'll breed to them the first time I breed them, which in turn is speeding things up because I'm now picking that right male and going to the exact right female. There's no more, I'm trying to prove out these 66 hats. You just know instantly. And now you can start breeding, I can start taking hypo DG het clowns and breeding them into combo pied het hypos and making hypos that are het pied het DG and then testing for clown and like really, really jumping multi generations. Like sometimes it's like I'm jumping ahead like 5 to 7 years in a single, for at least for me. For other people, they might not be that drastic, but something like Monsoon, I pick up a quad het or a triple het DG Monsoon clown male, which 4 years ago, people would be like, this is pretty much wholesale because no one's going to buy the male. Now I come in and buy the male and I run it to 6 or 7 DG combo het clown or clown combo het DGs. I don't need to hit 10 of them. I need to hit 2, 3, 4 DG clowns that test het Monsoon. I have just jumped ahead. Huge. For me, like, dude, I would have been so far behind from making a true traditionally made DG clown het Monsoon. I still couldn't do it today, but I can with testing.
Yeah.
And that's what I was worried about. Now, for value of things, I think it's still probably a negative. For the overall like industry, as we get to see things move forward, it's a mega positive. Like there's no more like wasting your time for 7 or 8 years. You're like, it's het, it's not het, keep it, don't keep it, get it out of here. Breed it or move it. And it's really gonna speed things up. I think we are gonna see an age of ball pythons where it's stuff you were like, you couldn't even fathom 5 years ago.
Yeah.
Look at how far we've come in 5 years. Like just since COVID, look at where we're at. What do you think it's going to be 5 years from now? It's going to go exponentially quicker. You're going to take exponential jumps. So,
but you can look back from like those quad het to quad hets.
Yep.
5-6 years ago, you'd have been keeping all 9 of those
for sure.
And then rack space and time, energy, cost, etc. And then
no question,
you might not have even got the ones that were double visual to double het to even breed, and then you go, oh, that's a waste of time or whatever.
Yep.
Now
Oh,
you
it's
can
just an
focus on the
axanthic
gym.
pied. I have a bunch of those. Like I can get rid of this one.
Yeah.
Well, that's an axanthic pied double head DG clown. That's a big difference.
Yeah.
Right. So that's what shed testing has brought to the table. Now it also has brought to the tables. You can it will stop a lot of funny business from people.
Yeah.
We all know in the past people, oh yeah, it's that clown. You breed it 4 years in a row and you never get a clown, and they're like, you're just getting bad odds, man. And I've had that happen to me, and dude, it was never het clown.
Yeah.
So it will stop that. Like it's nice to see guys like find out way before they waste their time on something, and that's definitely a benefit to it. And I mean, don't get me wrong, the way I look at it is like, if I could push a button and no one had it, I would
Yeah.
because I think it would slow things down and bring some stability to things, but I can't, and that's just the reality of the situation. So I have to use it, because if I'm not using it, I am at a major disadvantage. Like
Does it make a difference to your enjoyment of it?
Pardon me?
Does it make a difference to how you enjoy it? So, obviously the grind of making those quad hats and then
Proving stuff out was fun. I guess for me, no, not anymore. Not anymore, because I have gone through 10 or 15 years of proving out stuff and getting smoked, and it didn't prove, and like, you're just defeated, and whole projects blow up in your face because one animal doesn't prove out, and you're banking on stuff to happen and it doesn't. So I've done all of that, but the new guys, I guess, miss out on that. They don't even know what that is. Prove out? What the heck's prove out? It's het or not. And everything was always het or not. You just didn't know if it was. And so now no, it's definitely lets me run much more efficiently, and I get to, I hatch a DG clown that's, I don't know, pos het axanthic, and before it's had its second shed, I know if it's het axanthic.
Yeah.
I know if I'm keeping it or if I'm looking to be selling it. It's that adds tremendous value to the efficiency of the operation, right? Like I don't want a ton of dead weight being stuff that I am keeping on hopes that it will prove, and if it doesn't prove out, I wouldn't have kept it in the first place, and that sort of thing. So, but all in all, you know what? The people who are going to really win is the pets, the bottom of the market. I hate to use that term, but like the cheaper group in the market, because you are going to see those high end animals cycle down into that. That trickle down will be sped up.
Yeah.
I think it'll be at like a two times faster rate, where
people aren't going to keep the stuff they were keeping before. You hatched a axanthic pied posset hypo or posset clown or whatever.
Yep.
As soon as you test that, it's not, and it's like, okay, well, that's straight in the sales rack. That's going somewhere, or
for sure,
what it is, whether it's like a 3 or 4 gene combo that you're hoping for.
The people in the pet market, like people buying pet ball pythons, I've actually made the argument that I think the ball python market may grow even faster because of shed testing too. I think we may see another surge in the ball python market due to shed testing, because you're going to see the pied combos that were once reserved for, that is like the top of the market with pieds, will be trickling down into that pet level market very, like, much quicker than it normally would. And that in turn is going to bring new people in, going like kind of like how I was, where I'm like, wait a second, what is that? Like, I want this as a pet. And then they're going to see a DG clown combo or a axanthic hypo combo or whatever, and they're going to go like, whoa. And and that's what, that interest, that curiosity is what really gets people going. Because look around the market, I'm sure majority of people all started very similarly. They got a ball python as a pet. They got obsessed with it. They did some research. Holy shit, look at all these color combos. Look at all the genetics involved. It's like one of the snakes, one of the species, not to say that there aren't tons of species where you have to like think, but the ball python market is a much more, I have to be thinking ahead of the curve to stay competitive in that market. Whereas with like, so I'm just starting to dabble into tree monitors. I don't really have to think like, where is tree monitors going in 5 years? What's the next big thing with the tree monitor? How's this going to interact with this? I don't really have to do that. I just have to keep them and enjoy them, and it's a bit more simple.
You're
It's a
trying to
bit
keep
more like,
pure more than anything else.
what's that?
You're trying to keep like lines pure more than anything else. It's not that you're going to take a blue and bring
Right.
it to yellow and
Right. Whereas the
mix
ball
it up.
pythons, I'm always like, your brain's always going like, okay, this is the next thing. I gotta get hurricane over into this project. What's the best way for me to do that? And you're playing like this mega
Yeah.
logistical game with your collection and trying to tie these together. And if I hit one of these the following year, I can flip it over here and add it to this project. And whereas with stuff that is, I'm just keeping rising garais. I'm just trying to make the most yellow I can possibly make. It's a lot more, I guess, maybe it's less stress in a way. It's kind of like peaceful to me. It's kind of like, you guys just get to be you. There's no rush. There's no bad odds. There's no such thing as like, oh man, I missed the odds. It's like, no, I'm just happy to see a little blue nose poking out of an egg. Holy shit.
Bad odds in the tree monitors is the male eating the eggs.
Right. Yeah, that's exactly. Just getting eggs and hatching them has been an experience. So yeah, no, it's fun. It's fun.
So one thing that I do want to speak to you about as well, which you are kind of one of the first that I really saw doing it on a big scale, is like biosecurity.
Oh, yep.
Obviously, you running what, 2 separate collections now, pretty much.
Yeah, essentially 2 separate collections. Yeah. So basically, the way we started, the reason we started all of that is when I went full time, it was always a thing like, okay, this is going to be my livelihood. This is going to pay for my mortgage. This is my business. And I, for lack of a better terms, had all my eggs in one basket. Right.
Yep.
And we have imports coming in and exports going out. And, the way we ship into Canada, a lot of it is group shipping. So a lot of like 10, 15 different breeders will send everything into one person. That person will do the permit for everybody, ship to me. And then, some people are getting stuff in Canada. I'm getting, 7 different animals from 4 different breeders. I don't buy from people I don't trust, but you learn very quickly, like, I can't put my entire business in trust on someone else. I can't put my whole livelihood in like, trust me, man, the snake's fine. You just can't. And so what we did was we made it so starting in 2021, we built a new building. So the adult building, all is good. I mean, they're all breeding. That's where all still to this day, all the best stuff for the most part's over there.
Yeah.
But as eggs hatched, they went into a new building and grew up in that new building and grew up. And now there's about probably 200 holdbacks in that building, some which are breeding. This will be the first year breeding out of that building. But basically anything I buy goes and joins the old collection, the adult room, right? It's almost like I hate to say the word, but it's almost like it's like a sacrificial style building. If for whatever reason something happened, it's contained there, or nothing gets contained in the new stuff. Or nothing potentially comes from the old building into the new building. Males will grow up in the new building once I feel like they're ready. If I don't need them for that building, if I don't need them for those females in that building, those males can go over and join the adults. But once they're there, they never come back over. So it's like a one-way trip. They can go from the new to the old, but never from old to new, because our collection has been built over 20 years from all over the place. I have animals from all over the place, from guys I know, guys I don't really know, and they took it in on a trade and we ended up with the animals somehow. And it's just like one of those things where, and God forbid there was ever a fire, or there was ever anything. It's everything gone at once. And so we just looked at that and we're like, you know what? It really came about when it was like, I needed the space anyway. And it was either put an addition on the current building, which is 3 walls, or have a completely separate building and add that 4th wall.
Yeah.
And it was like, well, if it's all in one building and anything ever happens, you're for lack of a better word, you're fucked, right?
Yeah.
You know, a fire, some sort of bacteria, a virus, like God only knows what can happen. And so we looked at it and we're like, you know what, this at least gives you a level of separation. And I've started to talk to a few guys who have been doing the same sort of thing. You know, I was talking to a gentleman at Tinley, and he was like, I'm about a year ahead of you. I did the same thing back in about 2019. He split his collection, and all his hatchlings started to go into the new building. And it just guarantees, you know, it just guarantees the BIOS. Nothing is a guarantee, right? You can't guarantee anything, but it is as good as you can get as far as I'm concerned.
Yeah, I mean, there's no saying that nothing in the new building could ever.
Oh, dude, who knows, right?
But you're severely limiting the chances of anything being due to cross contamination.
When we're picking up animals from all over the world, man, it's the way I look at it is not if, it's when. Yeah. You know, at some point, and still, like, if we bring stuff in to go into the adult building, we still go through the quarantine process. We still go through the full, like, you know, we treat them for mites and we quarantine and we'll test for all the viruses and arena and all that shit. But nothing is perfect. You can't ever guarantee that nothing will slip through. And, you know, it's just the one time that it does. Well, there goes 20 years of work, you know?
Yeah. How much influence did your dad have over that? Because obviously with his background.
Oh, lots. Being a vet. Yeah. He was like, dude, it's time to think about some biosecurity here. Like, there's, you know, you're doing this as a living. This is your business. This is, you know, you're not at work anymore. It's not like, oh, I had a bad day and I was careless and, you know, this happened and, oh, sorry, boss. This is, you know, that happens and it's a big fucking problem. So dad was a huge influence to that, and just like drilled into my head. Like even when he's like, you know, he's a vet, so he does surgeries and stuff. And even just the way he talks about, like, okay, I sanitize my hands and then I grab this instrument, do something on a dog. If I go to this dog, I have to do a full scrub. I don't ever go from this dog to this dog, right? And with ball pythons, that's so overkill. It's just, there's too many animals in there to say, like, I touched the snake, I have to wash my hands. Touch the next snake, I have to wash my hands. That's just, if it gets to that point, it's gotten too much. You know, we're over the top. So it still has to function as a business. I still have to be able to do my daily chores in there. But what I've done is break it down by the rack. So I clean a rack, I pair whatever needs to go in that rack, and then I'll just use alcohol scrub on my hands. And then again, the following rack. And I'll never clean the adult building and then go into the baby building. It's like separate days. I clean them on separate days. Or if I have to do something in the baby building, I can go in there first, do what I have to do, shut the doors, go to the adult building, work the rest of the day there. So it's just drilling into my head that level of, like, okay, make sure we have that separation between the two collections. And you know what? It's been kind of cool because it's every single animal in that building I've produced, right? Nothing I buy goes in there. So when people come over, I had a guy over a couple weeks ago, and he was looking at the new building. He's like, you produce this? You produce that? You produce this? I was like, dude, the whole wall, bro, all of it. And he was like, really? I was like, yeah, like it's almost like it's like your own little, it's gotten to the point where it's like, this has been my vision of where the collection's going to go. And this is what that's the stuff I'm the most excited about now. Some of it's breeding. Like there's probably going to get about 40 clutches out of that building this year. Yeah. So some exciting stuff in there. Some really exciting stuff.
What is the big fear in terms of biosecurity for you? And obviously your dad's obviously got some clinical background and stuff in it. So, I mean, is the big fear NIDO?
That's definitely one of them. That's for sure. It's up there on the list. A fire, God forbid. I actually had a fire this summer. I walked into the building. I smelt smoke. This is in the adult building. I smelt smoke. I didn't know where. I instantly barged into the adult room, checking, pulling bins. I'm like, what the fuck is there? What's on fire? I could smell it. There was something burning. And what had happened, it was in my incubator, which is in a walk-in incubator.
Oh.
The herpstat, the plug that goes into the back of the herpstat was just slightly loose, and that back section was smoldering. The entire back of the herpstat was melted. And as soon as I opened the door to the incubator, I let a bunch of air into it, and poof, the back of the herpstat had a flame probably as big as my hand off the back of the herpstat. And I was like, holy shit. And I ripped it right off the wall, threw it out in the snow. Well, I guess it was in the fall, so I threw it out in the lawn, and just put some fans in, blew all the smoke out. But like, had I have not caught that, that could have been catastrophic.
Yeah.
You know, if that happens to somebody who's at work, that smolders the whole day. You know.
Yeah, there's no one. Yeah.
No one there to catch it. The only reason I caught it is because I'm full time and I'm in and out all the time. So that was a big one for me. Nido is definitely up there. Just learning about that. Dad being a vet, he knows how these viruses work, and how he's done a lot of research on what it is. How would you test for it? How would you treat it? Which is pretty much impossible if you ever end up with it. But essentially, it came down to like this. There's not just Nido, man. There's like mycoplasmas. There's arenavirus. There's all sorts of different stuff that you can get. Just a nasty bacteria, just a nasty bacterial infection that starts to hop. There's tons of different things that can go on, and it's one of those areas of the market that people almost bury their head in the sand. I'll talk to guys that I'm like, guys who've been doing this for 20 friggin' years. I'm like, you ever dealt with RIs? They're like, nope, never. I'm like, bullshit, dude. Bullshit. No one's been doing this for 20 years and not dealt with something.
Yeah.
It's just, I don't believe it. So yeah, I looked at it sort of like with Dad's help. Obviously, we looked at it and said, we need to take this seriously. We are selling snakes to people. I need to make sure that these animals are as perfect as I can possibly guarantee them. I recommend everybody who buys a snake, not just from me, but from anyone, to test for those things. You have access to it. It's like a $50 test. It did the whole like respiratory panel. And then the thing with Nido is that you start talking to people who have seen it or dealt with it or helped people get through it. It's chasing a ghost. It can be like positive or negative or a false positive, or the snake has it, but it's throwing a negative. And it's like, dude, you start to deal with that and you have a collection of 400 snakes. You're like, how do you ever pinpoint anything? So
actually prevention is way, way, way better than cure in that case.
Exactly. And that's exactly the same thing when it comes to mites, stuff with mites. I would much rather try to prevent them than try to get rid of them, because it's easier for me to treat an animal coming in and treat it for mites, quarantine it for 3 months or sometimes 6 months, depends on, make sure everything's good with it. But it's much easier for me to do that than it is to just say like, oh yeah, put it in the rack. And then 6 months later go like, wait a second. There's mites all over the place. What the fuck's going on?
Why is everything in the water bowl today?
Yeah, they're all building. Yeah, no, they're all itchy. So yeah, we've had mite situations before. It's just one of the worst fucking things. It's not even like mites aren't even one of those ones where you look at and you're like, oh my god, my collection's in trouble or anything. It's just if you see a mite, it's just, you just know in the back of your head, you're like, the next month is gonna suck. Like, I have so much work on my hands for the next month. It's just a full dump all the tubs, get all, it's
for that bed and you've just paid dollars and dollars and dollars.
Exactly. Yeah.
Well, that's not lasting. Yeah.
I've had guys call me up. Hey, what do you do if you have mites? And I'm like, oh boy. Just roll up your sleeves because you got some work to do. It is what it is. It happens. I just try to prevent it rather than deal with it. And the same thing for any viral stuff, bacterial stuff, anything along those lines. I would much rather test an animal coming in than just I trust him, he's a good guy, than that, because I recommend everybody test animals that they get from myself, I don't care who you get it from, test them. What's the harm? As a general rule, these people are buying several $1,000 animals with a $25 test.
Yeah.
$70 test. Come on.
In the grand scheme of things, it's
smart.
It's not doing it. Yeah.
Yeah, do it.
Yeah, I mean, I think the other thing for me with things like mites and things as well is, like you say, the mites themselves aren't actually that bad. It's not a problem that's going to struggle to deal with. It's time consuming, but I guess from a biosecurity point of view, is mites are feeding on blood's being transmitted from animal to animal. That's the real worry with mites for
sure.
It's like, okay, yeah, snake's got mites. Okay, that's easy to treat, but it's the repercussions of them having it.
For sure. And just, I've dealt with the RIs before where you have to treat them. Back in the day, it was the Baytril thing, the Baytril method. That would generally clean stuff up. Luckily, we've never had anything with viral testing. We've done lots of it, never had anything come back, which is really, really nice. There's other stuff too, though. There's cryptosporidia. There's all sorts of different things that people in the market need to be aware of, but for whatever reason, it's almost like a taboo thing to talk about. Nobody wants to hear about it. Nobody wants to. It's like, dude, this is like the health of your collection. This is if your collection isn't healthy, you don't have a collection. So it's kind of the most important thing we should be talking about.
And guess what? It's always the most expensive snake that goes down first.
For sure, dude. Yeah. If you're gonna have an issue with something, it's the best one. Always.
It's normally the one you've paid the most money for the most recently, and
your most prized holdback, your most whatever. Yeah. Never is it like, oh yeah, that Enchi I've had for 20 years, she's going downhill. Like, no, she's a beast. She's good to go. That whatever newest combo, that's the one that's gonna give you a headache, Yeah,
there's normally your prized male that you now can't breed to 6 females that you had waiting for it.
Right. Yeah. I'm just really surprised that the industry we don't as a general rule talk about this sort of stuff, because I think
so
it's
taboo
one of the most important things to talk about.
It is so taboo because it almost like negates you or relegates you down the list of people that buy from, or where people would go and shop. But you look at like the green tree community, and it's like
it's a common practice there.
Everyone's talking about it.
It should be, right? Yeah, that's the health of their collection. Like, if you don't have a healthy collection, you don't have a collection, really. And if you don't end up with a healthy collection, there is no way you're going to move this thing forward and turn it into a business and start to build a reputation. You sell one person a sick snake that could have been prevented. And look, guys, like, I'm not saying you had a sick snake, you're a bad keeper. That's another thing that we gotta end that thing where people are like, oh, he had a sick snake, he has a dirty collection. Like, that guy may have not had no fucking idea whatsoever, like no clue whatsoever, and it slips through the cracks. It absolutely can happen. I bet you talk to Justin, I bet you they've got biosecurity stuff in place. There's no way. I just can't see him with a collection that valuable and that important to just be like willy-nilly, I'll take from anybody, I'll put it in my racks. I really highly doubt he does that. And I think it's something that we should all kind of, this should be industry standard. Yeah. I would love to get to a point where I've started to do it with certain animals. If someone's buying a very high-end animal, it comes already with a full respiratory panel done. Like, here's the paperwork, here's everything, it's coming with it.
It covers you as well. It's like,
dude,
$50 for your reputation to be
it's
there intact.
Yeah. And
it costs more than that to ship the animal. So what's
the
extra $50 doesn't matter.
And it stops somebody from receiving an animal, having an issue in their collection, and then they say, hey, you sent me this snake that was sick. Well, dude, when I sent it to you, it was fucking clean. Now there is a little bit of trust associated there, because I could swab my dog and say, yep, the snake's clean for a respiratory, whatever. But you have to, if you suspect that person's willing to do something like that, you shouldn't be buying in the first place, right?
Yeah,
there needs to be a trust associated there. So
I think you've got to be smart as a buyer, but also look at what people are doing when they're breeding as well. Because I mean, for me, like, if someone's buying in breeder males and they're buying breeder males, breeding those in the collections, for me, that's like the highest risk chance you could take.
I think so
Because
too.
that animal could have been to 30
Well,
females in the
that
5 years.
animal in 5 years has probably been in how many bins?
Yeah.
Right. And who knows the conditions? We don't really ever know. It's
Nope.
especially you buy some breeder male on auction and morph market from somebody you don't really know. Hey, what the hell? And then people just take. I've seen guys buy snakes and just right into their collection within 2 days it's breeding a female. I'm like,
Yeah.
yo, you're out of your
That's a risk.
fucking mind. But hey, if that's how you want to run it, go ahead. But you know, you're not going to have much sympathy if something happens.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah. I mean, as a buyer and as a breeder, it should put you off. When I'm looking at buying stuff, I'm like, what's going on in their collection? What are they doing in terms of buying, purchasing, and
yeah,
what's going where? Because for me, it's like breeder males at the top, breeder females, and then like the safest is hatchlings.
Oh, no question. I actually have the best luck with hatchlings. You know, when I bring in a breeder female, I'll quarantine her, I'll do the testing, I'll do all this stuff, pop her into the collection, and as a general rule, they take a year or two off anyway. Generally, the first year, like if I get her in July, she doesn't lay that following season. The next winter, she goes on to build, but I have hatchlings that are hatched that end up doing that anyway. So I'm like, well, should I just buy a baby instead? You know?
Yeah,
it can work in your favor. You can definitely bring stuff in where it's, you know, it works out just fine.
if you're buying from a collection that you're
Yeah, be confident with the collection you're buying
experienced,
from.
clean, you're
You
comfortable
know,
from, then
guys with good reputations, guys that, you know, there's never been rumors that, oh, this person did this or this person. The more you hear that shit, the more you're just kind of like, well, I'm just gonna test it just in case. And I think people should be testing everything they bring in, everything, because at the end of the day, it is out there. And I just would hate to see somebody have a, you know, valuable collection of stuff and see something so easily preventable ruin it all.
Yeah.
You know?
I think for most of the people, because they're not in a business standpoint with it, they maybe don't see the complete and the true ramifications of what it can do to a collection.
Right.
And for most people, if they're bringing in an animal and it's normally the next animal you bring in is always the most expensive one you've bought.
Pretty much. Yeah.
And it's like
it does. We have definitely
you
that
don't really
is
come
true.
buy a $5,000 animal and then come back and go, I've just gone and bought this $600 snake.
Right.
Normally the next animal you bring in is always an upgrade. It's always the next step. It's always another $1,000 or another $2,000, whatever. And for most people, they can't afford for that animal not to be breeding or not to be producing for them.
Right. But I just hope that we can get to a point where it's you'll never stop shitty people, right?
Yeah.
Someone's gonna try and screw, like someone's gonna knowingly send you something that's not doing well or not, you know, sick, or you're never gonna stop that, but you can stop yourself from bringing something like that in.
Yeah.
And I think it becomes front of mind with me specifically, just with Dad's background being a vet, you know, the whole like, you're just going to take that animal and just plunk it right beside your DG puzzle female? Like, are you out of your mind? Like, what are you thinking? You know, like, what the hell are you thinking? And when I was younger, I was like, yeah, that's just what you do. And he's like, no, that's the stupidest thing you can do. And he's just kind of drilled that into my head to be like, no, you don't just grab an animal. I don't care who it's from. It could be from a guy that is like, he night out tests every single animal 50 times a year. I would still take that animal. I would quarantine it. I would set it up. I would, you know, do my own testing on it, make sure no mites, and just have a quarantine set up. There's no difference from it growing up in that quarantine rack than moving into the breeder room. It's just the same bin. It's the same, like, it's fine.
Yeah. There's
times where you have to remind yourself, like, an animal in that quarantine rack that looks okay and everything's good, and oh man, he's an 800 gram male. Like, oh, I should. Don't do it. Just wait the time. It's way easier to miss out on a potential clutch than to potentially risk something.
Yeah. Yeah, I think most people forget as well that Nido is just a coronavirus, and much like
Exactly.
it's
It's COVID.
some animals are going to remain asymptomatic for their entire life, but they could be carriers of it.
Yeah.
And you
So
put that in with one animal that's not asymptomatic, all of a
and
sudden you've
you
got a
got a big
problem.
RI problem. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep. And it's
Especially if you put in breeder males in.
for sure. Breeder males would be your highest risk for
Yeah.
sure. But then you've got, there's COVID seems, or sorry, COVID. Nido seems to be like the latest buzzword. It's like back in the day it was IBD. That was the big one for like 2012 to 2015. IBD is killing ball python collections and boas, and so that was like the big scary one for the time. And now Nido's the new scary one. But there's more than just those two things. Like there's a lot more that can that's contagious, a contagious thing that can happen. And just the more you distance yourself from that and protect yourself the best you can with good quarantine practices, the better off you'll be.
Yeah.
Or just build a new building and move all your babies into that.
Let's go something a bit more, a bit less doom and gloom.
More fun to talk about. Yeah,
the Canadians would bring the tone down. Jesus. Projects. Where are we going with projects? What's the main focus?
A lot of DG puzzle stuff. That's definitely, puzzle is top of mind right now. Tri-stripe is definitely something I want to get rolling a bit more. I want to see some new, like, I hate saying the word good because that implies that that people are making bad ones, but I want to see like more impactful hypo clown combos.
Yeah.
With like the genes that we all can really want to see in there: super hurricane, cypress Wookie, blackhead, whatever. I want to see those as hypo clowns. Obviously DG clown, man, I know a lot of people are down on it, and I know a lot of people they're down on it because of the pricing on it, but at the end of the day they are beautiful combos, and
absolutely
you're hard pressed to make a clown that looks that good. So the next iteration of the DG clown stuff, super excited to see those. That's one that's like, there's gonna be some really badass DG clowns moving forward.
Yeah, a lot of people say the project's dead, but we are literally we're about 5 genes in on DG clowns.
Yeah, like really, like,
I mean,
really,
red stripe, yellow belly, spot nose,
black pastel, leopards,
yeah.
A couple, obviously Justin's got the Pompeii and all that stuff already going. But man, like, if we said that it was dead, then the entire market is essentially, if it was dead, then clown is completely gone, right? If DG clown's dead, then how is clown alive?
Yeah.
Right. So yeah, I just, the guys who say that it's dead are the guys with no creativity or no DG clowns. One of the two.
They're the ones breeding the pastel DG clowns, which are
sure. I guess if you're
the market or whatever.
Yeah, but that would be like saying clown is dead in 2017, but you were making pastel clowns. Well, probably for you it is. It's not going to be that very super hot ticket for you if you're making pastel clowns or pastel DG clowns currently. But if you start to get into, I made a hurricane DG clown this year. I've been offered like pretty good money for that multiple times, and that's just one gene in there. It's just a hurricane DG clown. We haven't got into, orange dream, hurricane, cypress, yellow belly DG clowns, and like it just goes on and on and on and on. And then when you start to feel like, hey, I really like this one, layer hypo on there, layer axanthic on there, it just go. That is the beauty about ball pythons, is there is literally never a point where you're like, it's over.
It's like an onion. You just keep peeling it and there's another layer.
Legit. It just gets more and more complicated and harder to hit. And I just don't see a scenario where it's really truly over. New genes pop up, seems like, fairly consistently. Like in the last little bit, what have we had? We've had the Mimic, Cosmos, Tornado, like just those 3 genes alone. You add those into, Bob had the
voodoo.
Voodoo. There's a whole new platform to play with.
Yeah.
It's like that sort of stuff where one new gene can completely change how a pre-existing combo looks, and it's so the ball python market is dead. Well, I've heard it's been dead since 2008. So, but it just keeps on ticking, keeps on trucking along. You have peaks and valleys in the market, but that's just the global economy,
Of course,
right?
yeah. I think that's what people forget, is that this dip in the market, or this lull that we're going through, it's not a snake market thing. It's a worldwide economy thing. No one's got money.
Mm-hmm.
People's expendable income is down. It's not like the economy's booming while the snake market's dropping.
Exactly. Exactly.
It's,
And you can put the exact same, I've said before, where it's like ball python, they remind me of boats. Like, you buy a boat when you have expendable income. You don't buy a boat because you need a boat, right? Unless it's very, very few people are in that category. So I would love to go to the, we live in cottage country up here. So there's boat places all over the place. And I would love to go into the boat place and be like, how was your year this year versus, 2021? And I guarantee you they're gonna be like, yeah, it's been slow this year. Because the economy, the overall global economy is not in a great spot right now. I think things will get better. 2024 for me personally, was a rougher year. I had some pretty rough odds. Kept the stuff I hit was the stuff I had to keep. So the stuff for sale wasn't obviously all the best. So the revenue generated wasn't fantastic. But in 2025, it's like it's turned the corner, at least for me. I've heard some guys say it's not been great still, but you know what? I think we got spoiled. COVID spoiled ball python people. We got used to snake is posted on Morph Market, no other work involved. I just post it, and I am the one saying, like, I don't want to sell to you, and I don't want to sell to you. And you were like this. It was so easy for you to sell snakes. Like, I could sell snake sheds literally in COVID. Like, I want a shed of a DG puzzle. Like, what? $50? Sure. Yeah. So I think we are back to the way the market was and always was for my career in this. This reminds me of 2018. It wasn't like snakes were just flying off the shelf. There was a span in COVID in like 40 days. I sold like 200 snakes. It was like crazy, man. Like, it was just, dude, it was nuts. And I didn't have, back then, it would be, in 2018, 2017, even 2019, people would call and say, hey, I'm interested in this project. Can I get I'll get a male, maybe 2 or 3 females, and they'd spend a little chunk of money and this. And then during COVID, people were like, send me your list. What do you have? I'll take this. And I was just like, dude, have you added all that up? And they did, and they sent the money. And it became so easy to do. Which is part of the reason why you saw this big boom during COVID, where
of course
people were like, this is simple. We can print money doing this. When in reality, there's a lot more work to it than, the snakes don't breed themselves. The rats certainly don't clean themselves.
No.
They definitely don't do that.
That is a thankless task.
I'm waiting for,
You're the Tesla robot, aren't you?
Yes, buddy. I want those.
Exactly what you was gonna say.
Yeah, I want that Tesla bot, bro. I could have 3 of them in the rat room, just always just going and cleaning rats. Yeah.
That could be a fantastic investment for someone.
Oh, bro, if it actually worked, I'd do it. I'd do it. What's the robot? They anticipate like 30 grand, bro. That's
30 or 50,000, something like that. Which isn't. It's a wage of paying someone anyway.
Yeah.
And it's paying them once, and you get years.
Yeah, but I think your Tesla bot could do more than it cleans rats once a week. The rest of the week it's mowing my grass and doing this. I think that'd be pretty cool.
The one with the extra strong arm, don't you?
Yeah.
You still want that model?
Yeah. No, I think we were spoiled. I think COVID really spoiled us, and people didn't really like remember what it was. Remember how it really.
Was a fake market.
Yeah, it was crazy, man. It was crazy.
It was a completely fake market. Like those prices should have been on the decline anyway, and because of
DGs went
worldwide
from like
phenomenon. They're going up.
$300 to $3,000, like 10 times more valuable. I sold, I want to say in 2019, I sold a pastel OD Desert Ghost female for like $800. And then like a year later, that same guy was reselling that snake for 4,500. And I was like, yeah, what? Like, he literally just grew it up for a year and he sold it for 4,500 bucks. And I was like, that doesn't even make sense, man. I had been selling DGs for the last 10 years for $500 and $600, and then you know, all of a sudden, DG Clowns, DG Puzzle, all the DG Xanthic stuff, like all that stuff just exploded. The whole market in general, the reptiles in general, to be honest, everything.
Every species saw it.
Yeah, and outside of reptiles, I bet you people buying ATVs and boats and Sea-Doos and all the recreational stuff. Everybody had time, everybody had money, everybody was, let's get a Sea-Doo. That sounds great, you know. So I think we'll get back to reality, and you know, at the end of the day, like the cream always rises to the top. Any way you do it, like in whatever business you're in, the good ones stand out. You know, the good ones and the really bad ones, those both stand out. You know, those are both front and center for different reasons, for sure. Yeah, but yeah, no, I think it'll be, you know, I honestly, I would say I'm pretty bullish on where things are going with ball pythons.
Yeah. I mean, most of the people I spoke to at Tinley, they were pretty excited.
That was a good Tinley.
Said it was the best start to the year they've had in multiple years, like since COVID. So
that was a great Tinley.
Now settling down. I think they're realizing where their expendable income is, what they can and can't afford, and I think
October Tinley felt slow. Just as a spectator, I was walking around, and you guys were there. And it felt slow. Like there was, you know, proper Tinley when the doors open on Saturday. You're like, yo, I can't move.
Yeah.
And this felt like that again. This felt like a real Tinley again, which is very promising. I like when I see that. So
yeah, October for me, the Friday was really busy, and then the Saturday was a little bit slow.
Yeah.
And then this year, like the Friday was extremely busy, and the Saturday was even busier.
Mm-hmm. And it was good. I had a blast. I always have a blast.
Yeah, it's a great time. I really, really do enjoy them.
Right, but I think there's a lot to look forward to.
I've kept you for nearly an hour and a quarter.
Oh, dude, you can keep me for another hour and a half. I enjoy it.
I don't want you anymore.
Yeah, I'm done with you.
Right, I'm gonna give you one more question that I asked every guest.
Okay.
You're hosted a dinner party. You can have 4 guests, dead or alive. Who are you having and why?
Dead or alive?
Dead or alive.
Who am I having and why? Man, oh man. I'm gonna go like outside of this whole the political climate is a different thing. I would love to have dinner with Elon Musk. I think the guy's a visionary, regardless of what's going on in the political side of things. What that dude's accomplished, dude just brought astronauts back from the space station. Like, I mean, come on.
The way that thing lands on the docking station,
dude, it's so cool. Like as a kid, like, you know, cars, spaceships. I'm like, dude, this guy reminds me of like a Bond villain. You know, I hope he's good. That's my take. So I probably put Elon in there. I'd probably put
robots, don't you?
Yeah. Hey, when's the robots coming out, dude? Yeah. Could you put the rat formula in there for me? Yeah. Oh, dude, that's a good question. Maybe Freddie Mercury from Queen. Just that again, super like out there, crazy guy.
Ultimate showman.
Yeah, exactly. The ultimate showman. Oh man, they're hard. That's a hard question. I'll put you in there. We'll have dinner, just because, you know.
Someone's got to wash up.
I don't know. What are you for? Who did you pick?
I haven't picked it. It's I don't have to answer the question.
It's my question. Yeah. Yeah, I'll go. Man, that's a really good question. George Washington. Sounds like a, you know.
Yeah.
just for the history aspect, and then maybe like something like a Cleopatra or a Genghis Khan, Alexander the Great, something along those lines. Yeah.
You couldn't have them all around the same dinner table because
yeah, that's World War III. Yeah. yeah. Yeah.
So the last question is, what are you eating?
What am I eating? Oh,
Starters,
for dinner?
mains, and
For
dessert.
Dinner.
None of that weird chips with bean curd and stuff on that you eat.
Well, we're gonna have a poutine. No, we're not have a poutine. Oh, dude, appetizer. I like hard to beat like a good bruschetta. Start off with that, and then maybe go into some surf and turf type thing. Lobster, maybe some crab, some turf, some steak. And then for dinner, for dessert, man, something like a raspberry crumble, something like that with a little like vanilla ice cream on there. Oof.
Proper homely dessert.
Yeah. Yeah.
All right, I lied. There is one more question. So the tradition on this podcast since last year has been the last guest leaves a question for the next guest, not knowing who it's going to be.
Okay.
So the question you've been left is, in your eyes, who has the best collection and why?
It's Justin, no question.
Yeah, for obvious reasons.
I mean, why? Just look at it, bro. Yeah. I don't even think that's a close one. So that's, okay. Well, outside of Justin.
Yeah, we'll take him out of the running.
Yeah, he doesn't count because it's
that's like Tiger Woods in 2002.
Right, yeah. Who's the best basketball player? LeBron and who else, Ooh, dude, that's a tough question to answer. Man, it's hard not to say Miguel. He's making some fucking good stuff, man. Like really good stuff. It's really hard not to put him right behind Justin. Guys that I think are on the come up, like that they have some work to do, obviously still. But dude, Brett from Jersey guys, man, those guys have a serious collection of stuff. Like a serious Jack with performance pythons. And again, these guys are just good people all around. Like I just like hanging out with them, talking to them. But like the stuff that they bought and the vision, like the stuff that they're doing with it, I think I shouldn't say anyone can buy an expensive collection. Obviously you need money to do it, but anybody with the money can buy an expensive collection. It's an entirely different thing to do something with it. Yeah. Having the vision and the like understanding things and I think they're going to make a pretty big splash over the next 5 to 7 years. I gotta say Miguel outside of Justin.
I think Miguel's stuff's absolutely incredible.
Mm-hmm.
He's got some of the projects and the directions that he's taken stuff, considering that when he came in and people hammered him
in a short amount of time too. People had it in for him. I've been homies with Miguel for a long time now. And it's awesome to see where he's gone, where he's started and what he's been able to achieve in that amount of time. Not even just the animals, but like the social media presence, the reputation,
oh man,
all of it.
When he came over to a show in Europe last year, it was like he was vlogging everything. He was doing it in English and Spanish, and the grind didn't stop. It was like everything was an opportunity. It was like the work ethic behind it, and people hated on him when he came in for he's
easy to
money, and he's just bought a good collection. It's like, why would you not? If you can buy it, why would you not? It's not like he's just woke up and the money's there and he's found it. Like
exactly, that's the same. It's the same logic that people have. Like they see somebody in a Ferrari, like, oh fuck him, what did he do wrong?
He can only
he obviously did. Yeah, he obviously did something to get there. He didn't just. He didn't win the lot. I mean, I'm sure there's some, but that's a very small portion of people that just had everything handed easy to them. Everybody's worked for their shit. So fuck all that. My question for the next breeder, not knowing who it's gonna be.
Yeah.
What challenges do you see the ball python market facing over the next 5 years?
Ooh, That's a great one. That's a great question.
Yeah. What are the challenges that you see over the next 5 years? Do you know who the next person? Can you tell me who the next person is?
Nope, you're not allowed to know.
When will I know?
Couple of weeks.
Okay.
So I'll edit this one probably this weekend, get it out either Saturday night or Sunday morning, and then we will we'll start getting into the next guest after that. Actually, I think the next guest isn't even going to be a breeder.
Oh.
I'm actually trying to line up a podcast with a reptile vet, like reptile specialist.
Oh, that'd be cool.
So
that'd be cool.
Maybe do a deeper dive into the issues and the challenges surrounding biosecurity, infections, viruses, etc. So I think that's a topic that isn't talked about anywhere near enough.
Dude, no one talks about that.
And most of the information you hear about it is second, third, fourth, fifth, sixth hand, and it's not backed up with any substantial research or information or any experience.
I heard from this person who heard from this person that this is the best way to ensure you don't, no, that's a great conversation to have with a true reptile vet. That's send me the link when it comes out, man. I'll definitely
I think that'll be a good one. It's been in the pipeline for a while. It's just trying to fix everything down and get a date set for it. So, but I think we're almost there with that one. So I think that'll be a really good, interesting topic. And yeah, something that anyone could talk to breeders, and we could talk about snakes, etc. and stuff. But there is wider ranges and wider challenges to what we do than just to sticking to animals in a grey tub and letting them breed.
Oh, for sure. There's a lot more to it. Yeah, that's the fun part. The rest of it's work. Yeah.
Right, I'm going to let you go, Will.
Okay, man.
We've been going for an hour and 20 minutes, and I appreciate that you've probably got some Diablo or something to play, whatever you young kids do.
Yeah, I'll find something to do tonight. Yeah.
We're going to pop you in the waiting room. Don't sign off just yet, because we need to just upload the audio that's been recorded. I'm going to pop you in a waiting room, and I'll pop back into you in a moment.
Sounds good.
Lovely. Oh, before you go, shout out, where can people find you?
Instagram, Facebook, Morph Market. Morph Market will be a much bigger portion moving forward. Probably YouTube coming soon. Later half of 2025. Got some big news coming here shortly. So stick around for that. But for the most part right now, Instagram, Patreon, and Facebook.
And you're all under Royal Canadian Reptiles.
Royal Canadian Reptiles, yeah.
There you go. You heard it from the man himself. So yeah, thanks very much, man. Really enjoyed the conversation. And
thanks for having me on. It was awesome.
I'll catch you in a moment.
You're
welcome. Peace.
Sounds good.
There we go, guys. That is Will from Royal Canadian Reptiles. Now, I love chatting to Will. He's a fantastic guy, great sense of humor, and I'm sure you'll agree he's got some fantastic information and knowledge to spread and some great topics to talk about. So I really hope you enjoyed this one as much as I enjoyed recording it. And obviously go check Will out, Royal Canadian Reptiles, on Instagram, Facebook, soon to be YouTube. Or I think he's on YouTube already anyway, but I think it's going to be a lot more active. That's about it for me. I'm pretty much done. So thanks for listening, guys, and we'll see you on the next one. Peace.